Folks, we'll get started, looks like in about a minute or two. Welcome to Stock Analysis Fridays. All right, you ready to get started, everybody? All right, let's do it. Let's do it up. All right, so first of all, welcome to Stock Analysis Fridays. We do this every Friday at this time, 8 a.m. Pacific time. So it's great to have everybody here. And I welcome each and every one of you. All right, now, if you're watching the recording, we welcome you as well. If I mention any links or anything, those will be put down in the description below. So we're going to try something a little new this time on the recording. When we talk about a particular stock, we're actually going to put a link to that stock. So when you're watching the recording and you want to go to a specific stock that we analyze, it'll be right there. All right, let me go through the usual administrative items I have to do, of course. And that first one is to let you know that there are risks involved in trading. I think probably we all know that now, but we do have to repeat that. It is possible to lose some or all your money trading or investing in the financial markets. Please check with your money manager, financial advisor, accountant, attorney, whoever handles you there, to make sure that what we talk about here are ideas or stock ideas that you may want to participate in. Please make sure they're suitable for you, because we don't know your personal situation, and of course they do. Also too, if you want to learn more about risk control, come to our website. We have a lot of great tools and education on that. And also too, please trade with money you can afford to risk, called risk capital. All right, I've written several books, so if you're new here watching us on YouTube, check out our books. It's a great way to learn what we're all about. And the one I suggest, of course, first is the one on risk control, which is the one on the far left, called A Trader's Money Management System. In this book, we're going to teach you some very quick and easy ways to implement money management and risk control. A lot of the books out there on risk control are kind of thick, so if you want something concise, I've pretty much read them all, and I've kind of narrowed them down to what I think is important for our active traders out there, so you may want to check that out. And then I have other books on technical analysis, including the Elliott wave. That usually is something also too people are very interested in. And then finally, when we look at charts today, we're going to take a look at them under a microscope on different time frames. We're going to say we'll use multiple time frame analysis. I'll show you what that means in just a moment. And again, if you want to learn more about that, we have courses on using multiple time frame analysis. But you're going to be seeing some indicators and studies that you may not see normally on charts. And that's because we use what we call the Ultimate Trading System, which is a combination of trading tools that I developed over the last 30 plus years of trading the markets. And that's the ART system, which stands for Applied Reality Trading, which takes a look at price patterns. And then I have the OWL, PTF, TLM, and ERI indicators used for scaling out, exiting positions, and confirming entries. And then finally, the scanners at the bottom is how we kind of find these things to trade. You know, there's over 10,000 stocks out there, a ton of futures and a ton of Forex. Now we got Bitcoin. So we got all these markets. And what we do is scan for them technically. So we look for patterns in the different markets, and that takes a lot of heavy lifting. You don't want to be doing that manually with that many markets. So we have scanners that do that for you and pick out the best ones. And then finally, we also do have risk control software tools. So all of these are tools that we use to analyze a particular market. And then finally, we're glad you're here. We want to welcome everybody. And don't forget to like our videos because that helps us in the YouTube world of ratings. So definitely give us a like there. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And then finally, share this with your friends out there, because the more people we get to come here today and each and every Friday, the more stocks we can look at. And the more stocks we can look at, the more the chances increase that we can find a really good opportunity. So I always like to walk away with at least maybe one or two good opportunities when we take a look at the markets. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And let me just drop that out of the way. And I wanted to take a look at Microsoft. Now, do me a favor. When you type in your symbols, do that in caps. Okay, please do that in caps. Keep it primarily to stocks and ETFs. All right, so we can take a look at those. And Microsoft was one that we recommended a short position on, and it did really well, and it's starting to bounce up a little bit. So I do want to talk a little bit about that. All right, now let me just tell you a little bit about my layout that you're seeing here. Up at the top, we have something. I'm using a platform called NinjaTrader. All right, I'm also going to be using possibly TradeStation as well. But on NinjaTrader, I've got it divided up. I got my workspace divided up into a scanner at the top called Market Analyzer. And many of you that use NinjaTrader, okay, kind of know what that is, right? Now, I also have our proprietary scanners scanning the market for different signals here at the top, all the way from Elliott wave to ART signals to different things that we look at. And then below that, you'll see three charts, not one, but three. And this is called multiple time frame analysis. And the one on the left is the 60-minute chart when I look at longer term position trades. And this gives us the short-term look at this particular market. And notice all the charts are of the same market. So I've got Microsoft up here, for example. So all three charts are of the same market. They're just different time frames. So each price bar on that far left-hand chart is 60 minutes or an hour. Then we come to the chart in the center, which I also call the primary chart, and that's our daily chart. So each price bar here represents a full day, and that gives me a look at the intermediate trend. Now, when you go on most websites and take a look at charts, most of the time they are daily charts. And then finally, the chart on the far right is a weekly chart where each price bar represents a full week of activity, and that's our longer term look. So by looking at three charts, I've already divided up the same market into the short-term aspect, the intermediate aspect, and the long-term aspect. Now, why do I do that? Because there's times when I may want to go long based on the daily chart, but the short-term chart says hold back a little bit and wait for a little bit better momentum to come in. So it's like putting the stock under a microscope, so to speak. And I want to basically, I'm trying to get the best possible price and best possible time to get in when the momentum is going my way. And then finally, on the long-term chart, I kind of get an idea of the Elliott wave there. I kind of take a look and see, are we near a bottom based on the long-term situation, or are we going against the trend or with the trend, that type of thing. So that is the power of multiple time frame analysis. And again, if you want to learn more about that, I have a whole course on how to set it up, whether you're, we use this day trading too. So whether you're day trading, position trading, or whatever, there's certain time frames that work best for this. All right, so hope everybody's doing good. So Microsoft, let me cover this on Microsoft here a little bit. All right, so we got pretty darn close to our target range. This was a short trade that one of the guys came up here a couple of weeks ago, probably a month ago now, looking into this, and it was looking like a good short trade. Now, we got really close to this target range, which is this box I drew on the center chart. However, we still have momentum on the what we call the precision trend filter, which is this filter in the center. On the 60-minute chart over here is still red. So basically how this indicator works, this is kind of a really cool indicator. It has a 75% accuracy rate, which in the markets is really good. And what it's telling us is, it's telling us when it's red, whatever the lowest price is in that red area, which happens to be here, there is a 75% chance we're going lower than that. So there's a chance here that we really have not put a bottom in on Microsoft, that we're going down again. So I just want you to be aware of that. So if you're short this, you may want to scale out a little bit here, which means take part of your position off, because we did hit the target zone, it is bouncing, but don't take it all off, because it looks like we're going to go back down again. Now, notice that we have a green PTF on the longer term weekly chart over here. So once we do reach the target zone, you do have to be careful here, because then it should make another high. And of course, if you're counting Elliott waves, this is going to be a 3, 4, and then 5. So eventually there are 5 waves in an Elliott wave. So you Elliott wave nerds out there like me, all right? So when we get to the wave 5, the trend's over. So it will make another high based on the Elliott wave. That's where the probabilities are. But it's also short term, probably going to make one more low before it goes into wave 5. That's the advantage of using multiple time frame analysis. Thanks to the 60-minute chart, it's kind of saying to us, okay, wave 4 is almost over, but not quite. All right, let's go on to some things you want to take a look at here. All right, Al, how are you? Good to have you here. Let's take a look at SPCE. And this, of course, is one for Al. So Al, I don't know what you're, oh, you're long. Okay, good. All right, so Al took a very early entry in this, and he's anticipating a bottom here, right here, and he went long. I probably would wait a little longer to go long, no pun intended, because on this particular chart, I'm just going to open this up a little bit more so you can see this better. Notice you have this bearish pyramid, which is part of the ART software, is still valid. Okay, so that's still valid. So if you enjoyed the downtrend where you would have made a lot of money using the ART system, the stop or exit to cover that short is sitting at the top of that pyramid. And that pyramid represents a certain pattern in the market, a 1, 2, 3 pattern they call it, and also a fractal in the market. So probably that's the best place to put your stop, and I probably wouldn't go against that until the market got above it. Now, you may have gotten in early, and it may certainly get above it. We got a green PTF already, all right, but I imagine you got in a little bit earlier maybe than the PTF turned green, because that just did that over the last day. I kind of, at this particular point, would look at this. I think it's got great potential. I just would wait a little longer until we got above that bearish pyramid. But I don't think it's the wrong direction necessarily, but please have your stop in place in case it decides to take another dive at some point and go below that. All right, so have that stop in place and give it a shot. All right, WEX also long. And give that a second to load. Okay, so let's see what we got cooking on here. All right, on this one here, I don't know what your target is, but if we look at the weekly chart here, we've got a red PTF, and an active pyramid to the downside. So technically on this chart, you would want to be short. On this one here, you could take a long trade here, but I don't know where it's going. You got to figure out where your target's going to be. This one here, the momentum is bullish, so you probably will get some more movement to the upside, but notice that this PTF is only telling us that this price bar here, sitting only a few dollars up, is the high. So that doesn't really do you any good for a major significant profitable target there. So on this one here, I probably would not be long, simply because at this particular point, I'm not exactly sure where this is going. I don't think it's going for a new high here. And when I say that, I mean above here, with this being red. So I'd see more of selling than going long on this. All right. Thanks, Al. Okay. Okay, so you're not in WEX yet. Okay, good. Yeah, wait for the long on that. All right, Stuart, good morning to you. CRM. Let's check out what you're doing on that one. All right, so I'm not sure what you're doing on this one, Stuart. I don't know if you're long, waiting in the market or what. All right, so definitely had a nice pullback here. However, according to the 60-minute chart way over here, this thing should drop back down. So I'm not so sure we have a bottom in yet. You do have an active trade, really nice entry up here, stops here. We're getting some possible, see these yellow ones forming here? I don't know if you can see those at home, but there are yellow pyramids, which are those triangles forming here. And so if prices take another dive, this one will turn red. Okay, so that could be the place where you put your stop once the market heads down again. So I would not be long on this. And I think if you wanted to take a very short-term trade, and here's again the advantage of multiple time frame analysis. If you wanted to make your 60-minute the primary chart, all right, you could do that. Take a short trade here. Make sure you have negative momentum. So this owl, we call this the owl, and this owl is measuring momentum. And you don't want to take a short trade unless that's red. So it's green right now. And you don't want to go necessarily against this right now. Now, if this abruptly changes from yellow to green, well, then that changes things. Then I would wait for prices to get a little higher here, and you've got an up pyramid forming here if that happens. So I would hold off and keep looking at it. All right, WDAY. Let's take a look at WDAY. See what's going on with that bad boy here. All right. Give that a second to load. All right, very similar situation on this as the one we just looked at. Okay, very similar. All right, notice a red PTF, but also very close to going green. But we do also here have an active pyramid that was taken out, so a little different. We also have a bullish pyramid forming here. So and we have green here, but we have red here. So it may be turning, it may be getting very close, but the current reality, because of this being red, would tell us to stay out of the market. Also, too, this is red here. Okay, so I would hold off. If this gets triggered, then that may change things, because that will probably turn the PTF green over here. But as of today, you do not want a long position on that. And you don't want a short position, because the short should have been taken way up here. And look, you could have just trailed your stops down and had a nice little profit already. Too late to go short, too early to go long. Let's keep going here. All right. CRWD. Let's take a look at that one. All right, so we've looked at this one before. Now, this one's kind of an interesting one because this one has changed dynamics. Notice that it was a nice move to the downside, but now it's reached the target zone. The pyramid stopped you out at a nice little profit on that against the trend type of move. On here, we've got a 3 Elliott wave, possible 4, but still, okay, a little bit negative momentum there, but we do have a pyramid going against here. So we have an active pyramid that has not been stopped out on this long-term time frame, but we are moving up here, and we're seeing bullishness come in here. So what do? All right, well, certainly you could wait and make sure this pyramid is taken out. Or if you want to go long thinking the bottom's in, again, what we do is connect the dots. Excuse me. One of the dots to connect here is we've reached the target zone. We've gotten above the pyramid. We've got an MP. We've got green, green, nothing red over here. Yellow's okay, and yellow here. No more red here. So you've got a lot of the dots connected for a long trade. The only thing you got going against you is the active pyramid on the weekly chart and the red owl. So I would cut the position size down. I would take the long position on this, put your stop as far down under here as you can, and go with a little bit lower position size because you're going against some of the dynamics still on the longer term time frame. All right, Stuart, thank you. Great. All right, White Lion, good to have you back here. GGB, I think White Lion, you have found quite a few stocks for the group here that have done pretty well, including that one I showed earlier on Microsoft. All right, so let's take a look. He's long on GGB. All right, let's see what's cooking on that. All right, couple things. One is, notice that none of the active pyramids on the weekly chart are active anymore, the bearish ones. So those have been taken out. Momentum is shifted green here and is now, we have a green PTF. So there's a 75% probability we're going above let's say around 750, right? We have green PTF here indicating the same thing. Now, with multiple time frame analysis, whenever the charts are in sync, that's the most powerful trade. If maybe 2 of the 3 of the charts are in sync, sometimes we take those, but they aren't going to be as powerful as when all 3. And for sure, we don't want to go against the short-term time frame because that is the current momentum. So in this particular scenario, we even have things going for us on the 60-minute chart, including a pyramid. So this is probably the best one I've seen today. All right. So GGB and White Lion, that's yours. So a long position is good here. Now, if you're going to go long, this should be your target right up here. Short-term target. This could be an Elliott wave sequence 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you probably will get even above there, and you can draw your fib extensions in to figure that out. But this is okay. All right, so this is a good long position for today. Like that one. All right, let's see what else you got. EMR. Let me type that one in for you. All right, so he is short on this one. And again, what I like about this, and White Line, you're definitely doing your homework here. You've got a red PTF, red PTF, red PTF. So there is no way you want to be long on this. No way. The question is, next, where is it going? Where is the target for this? Can the PTFs help us? Well, the PTF is saying, whoa, we're going to cut this baby in half eventually and go down to 40. Now that's not going to, it's at 95 right now. So that's not going to happen tomorrow. That's a long-term short position hold. You're going to have to hold that for many, many months. And you're probably also going to have to wait until the market in general rolls over. And so very similar to the Dow and all the other markets that we watch, the major indexes, is this a major top up here, or are we in a slight pullback? We're going to get one more high and then a drop off. That's always the million-dollar question when we trade the markets, because there's always an alternate price pattern that could be developing. So in this case here, sticking with the realities, we have all 3 PTFs red. We have red momentum here. We no longer have an active pyramid here because it was taken out. We have a neutral. We don't have one here either because that was taken out, I think. Okay, yep, that was taken out. So the only thing we've got going for us is a PTF trade, an early PTF trade. This is green on the 60-minute here. So if you're looking at this right this second, now it was red before, so you could have gone short on that with the PTF target as your target, so to speak. So if I was looking at this right now, I'd probably not quickly go short on this. I definitely put this as a possible short position. definitely don't want to be long. I'd like to get my stop up here, assuming that maybe this correction to the upside's the top and it's going to fall out of bed from here. But I think I'm going to wait for this to turn red over here at this point. I'd love to get a bearish pyramid also on the daily chart, which is the one in the center, before going ahead and going short. So it's not bad. It's just not one of my favorites. Okay, EMR. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, Al's back with APPH. APPH. Let's see what we got cooking there. All right, and we'll see here. Okay, so I'm not sure if you're long or not, but this one would be probably a good one to get long in. Now, on this one here, we've got a really interesting weekly chart. So this thing went down into the single digits, still there now, and we've got a target based off this one indicator up here above 40. Now remember, this indicator has a 75% accuracy. So if you trade with the probabilities, you're going to trade with that indicator. It's not right all the time, which is why you have to use risk control, but I always really weight that very heavily. Now, we've got a bearish trend in place here because there's a pyramid, but it's almost stopped out. And we've had a big, huge retracement. And this owl here on the weekly chart is overextended because usually as an average we get at least 4. All right, but this is obviously extended way beyond that. And so you can see that over here as well. So, okay, so it's not quite green yet, but we do have a green PTF. Let's take a look at the daily chart. Okay, so we had a green PTF, but that has now changed. Okay, so if you entered on this pyramid down below, above like around $3 or $4, all right, we're at 637, and that was the target for this short-term PTF on the daily chart, which is this green. But now it's turned yellow, so it's neutral again. So you did get a pyramid here, no longer nice profitable trade on this short one here. So, okay, all right, if you want to get in early, go ahead and take that. Things are certainly perking up. This is green. This was also green, now yellow. Also, too, you got to be careful here. 3, 4, 5. We're probably going to get a pullback on APPH. Let me just run this up so you can see what I mean. Now, when you break off a bottom, this is really important. When you break off a bottom, that first big move up is pretty dramatic because you got shorts covering. You've got people then getting excited about it like us, wanting to get in to the market because, you know, bottom could be in. And then what happens characteristically is when you get a sharp move up, it starts to slow down and people take profits. The covering is for the most part done and it starts to settle. And then new money kind of steps back, doesn't go in, and then we get a little bit of a correction. You have to put your stop down here. Any price bar here that you put your stop in, more than likely is going to get stopped out during this corrective period. Now, usually what happens, if this is a bottom, this correction can almost go all the way down to the bottom, and then more money comes back in at that time, and it rises. So the way to make this trade profitable is to put your stop at the bottom and keep it there if you think it's a major bottom. Now, if you're just trading this little short-term spike here, then use the 60-minute to trade it. That's the advantage of using multiple time frames. Okay, so that's APPH for out. All right, not a bad long. You just got to have that stop in there. Now, I will tell you, since we are getting close to a Elliott Wave 5 on the 60-minute, probably not one I would say go into right now because you're chasing the trend. Let's wait for that pullback and then see when that pullback ends and then go in. All right, that could be the best place to go in on that. All right, so that's APPH. Tom, how are you? WBA. WBA. And Stuart, I think we'll get to yours gold next too as well. Sorry. All right, so let's take a look at old WBA here. All right, so WBA, green PTF on the weekly chart. no more green PTFs on the short-term chart, and we have an active downtrend in place on the short-term chart. So we're still coming back on this. We're still pulling back on this. Eventually a bottom will be reached, and at that particular time you can go long, but for right now we are in a correction to the downside. Okay, so I would say don't go long here yet. Do not go long here yet. So we got red here, we got red here, we've got an active pyramid here and here, and we've got red here but a green PTF here. So it's going down. All right, and so you kind of want to be a little careful and wait for this move to the downside to end. So let's take a look at that next week. WBA. All right, now we can go to Stuart Years, GLD, gold. Let's take a look at that bad boy. All right, so gold, let me just open up the weekly chart on this. So it kind of is good to take a look at what we've seen with gold already. If we go back to 2011, you can see a top here. That was a wave 3, had an Elliott wave 4, and now here's the target zone in blue for Elliott wave 5. Now what's interesting about this, and this is why I love the PTF, because check this out. It was green when it hit the first high. Many people, once that got into the target range, would say, that's it, I'm out of here, because that's the final high. This is a 3, this is a 4, this is a 5, it hit the target range, I'm gone. But those of us using the PTF at traderscoach.com knew that there's a 75% probability that that is not the high. The market may correct a little bit and then move back in. Now the PTF will not tell you how deep or long a correction could be off a high, but if it's green, you know there's a 75% probability the trend's not over, that it's going back up. And that seems to be exactly what's happening. So, you know, you definitely want to be long here, but, you know, the pyramids, you know, would have put you in much further in and then in again, and this pretty much held here. So your stop now would be here. So you would have been trailing your stops right up under these pyramids and still be long. These signals here in the opposite direction, these red ones called 2Bs, 1Bs, they can all be used to scale out, but that's it, okay? Still, you want to stay with the trend, and the trend is identified by the P pyramids. So at this case here, all right, we got some more highs coming. It's not quite there yet, but we are in the target zone, so you don't have a lot. So probably the best thing to do at this point here is notice that if we drop down to here, we got a 3, looks like a 4. So I would say probably another high coming here. Let's wait for this to go green if you want to trade a 60-minute time frame, because basically this is going to be a fairly short-term trade to get back into the target zone back up here. So probably 193 is the target zone for right now, and we're at 180. Not so sure the best trade, because you're limited, I think, on the upside for this move. But, you know, we could get up to 229. That's a possible upper range of the target. All right, so that's gold. All right, now, okay, we want to take a look at the cryptos. Let's run over to the cryptos. We'll take a look at GBTC. David, if you're here, I can take a look at that on the futures as well. All right, so let's see what we got cooking here. All right, so this is kind of an interesting one. We have talked about this before. Now, there is a lot of discussion out there on YouTube, as well as in the news and everywhere else, about cryptos in general. You know, the U.S. federal government wants to get involved in developing their own. There is a lot of, in fact, there's a place in, I think, in Austin, Texas, that's was either shut down or they want to shut down because it's using so much electricity in mining for this stuff. So there, you know, crypto has its own set of issues, but whatever news you look at, focus on the charts, because the chart is what really counts. That's the truth of the market. I always say price is the real truth of what's going on. So a lot of times when we listen to different people, it's their opinion. And so rather than base it on their opinion, base it on the actual price. All right, so first thing to look at, I'm going to open up, well, I'll keep it here. All right, so there is a big move up and it created a green PTF. So the PTF gets created when the momentum is so strong that it is indicating that that is not a final high. Yes, we may have profit taking. Yes, we may have a pullback, and we got that. All right. So boom, it came all the way down here. So it's more like a 3, almost like a 4, and we're going into a 5. So according to this indicator, we have one more high coming. We have still got red on the momentum. All right, and we've got kind of a basing going on here, over here. And you can see that a little bit more elaborately on the daily chart. Now, if you're long on this, you want to put your stop at the very bottom. So if you think this is a bottom, which it could be, all right, and you want to take an early trade, you could do that. However, you have an active pyramid. I would wait now until prices get above that and we have a green momentum on the top here called the owl. All right, so right now also too, and if you'll notice on the 60-minute chart, we've got what they call a pennant. That's a form, that's a designation of a price pattern based on technical analysis. So whichever way it breaks out of the pennant is the indication of the direction it's going to move. So so what's interesting about a pennant is as it gets closer to the point of the pennant, all right, we get closer to the decision the market will make on breaking out, and that's how they work. So I think we're going to see some major activity on this, and because we have a green PTF, if this is the bottom, we should see a breakout in a big way to the upside. Now, always use risk control, because guess what? We're not always right. And so you want to make sure you protect your downside. So don't bet the farm on this. Use a calculated position size so your risk is in alignment. You've got a possible up pyramid forming here. So I would hold off at this point going long until this yellow pyramid is confirmed and turns green, giving you the signal to go long by the ART system. If you're long already, put your stop at the very bottom. This is a great example also. Remember I was telling you the first move off the bottom is sharp and then you get pullback. Okay, so here's the move off the bottom possibly, and here's your pullback. All right, that's why you have to keep those stops at the very, very bottom. So that's GBTC. All right, let's take a look at Ethereum here, and we'll use the Grayscale Trust for that. And that is ETHE. And this one here, we do not have any green PTFs on this right now. We do have a pyramid called an MP forming, which is going against the dominant pyramid here. So if you went short here, all right, you go here, your initial stop here, and you'd be trailing your stop. So you got a profitable trade here, and your stop is here. So any trade taken before it goes above that bearish pyramid here, the flat part of the triangle, is going against the trend. So do not go long here. Okay, this is a little different than the other one. Do not go long here. All right, I'm going to look over here and see if I missed anything else. Stuart, I think I got you there. I think I got that one. Okay, white line, LNC short. I don't think I looked at this one yet. All right, LNC short. All right, let's see what we got cooking here. All right, you definitely are going in the direction of the PTF on the long-term time frame. This, the success of your trade will depend if this is a top. All right, you no longer have an uptrend in place because the pyramids have been stopped out. So you don't have any situation there. You wouldn't have taken these pyramids either because you have a red PTF here. So those would negate those. So you do have red momentum. I don't know if you can see that little sliver at home. Let me enlarge that for you. So the momentum is red on this chart. You do have red momentum on the daily, and you have an active pyramid. Okay, and you have red here, you're having a little rebound. So what's going on? All right, so this is kind of fun. If you're in it now, you want to have your stop probably at the pyramid is fine on the daily. If you're not in it yet, wait for this to go red on the 60 because we're getting a rebound. So you may be able to get a little bit better price. This is red, meaning that this is only a breath in the market, a short-term rebound. And it should come back down. So your synopsis of being short is right on the money. And what you want to do if you're not short already is just wait for this to turn red and then you can join the shorts. and you can get in at a pretty good price because it's rebounded. All right, so stop up here in good shape. All right, whether we reach the weekly target zone, we'll see. That will depend if there's a major top here, because we're basically saying this will go into the teens once we have a major sell-off. And again, we're at 64 bucks here, so that's going to be quite a while before we get down there. But you certainly have the short-term outlook of getting into the 50s, around 55, probably a little lower than that, before, or 57, I guess. No, 58, 57. So a little bit lower than that short-term. So you'd definitely be going in the direction of the momentum. All right, whether it's the big one or not, that's not sure. All right, so let's keep going on here. Oh, one more thing on this. So when you take a trade and you have a PTF long-term like this, if you manage the trade on a shorter time frame, chances are it's going to be really hard for you to make it to the target zone on the longer term time frame. Why? Because the volatility to get here, down here, is probably going to stop you out on the shorter time frames. So if your intentions are to make it all the way down here, you have to use the weekly chart as your primary chart. And therefore, all your stops and risk control calculations have to be done on the weekly chart. And the only thing you're using the daily for and the 60 in that case is for timing the entry, or possibly scaling out of a few things. All right, so Apple, let's take a look at Apple, AAPL, see what's cooking on the app. All right, so Apple coming down. Let me just see if Apple was in any of our picks here. Nope, might have been on, looks familiar in terms of what we might have talked about, but I guess not. All right, I do a lot of webinars each and every week, so it's probably another one. All right, so what are we doing on Apple? Let me just see your thoughts on Apple for a long, Don says. Okay, so what's cooking? Currently, based on the daily chart in the center, we have an active short. We have red here. We do have a little bit of green here, but your pyramid is still active. So the 60-minute chart is showing a rebound to the upside. That rebound on the daily chart is nothing at this point other than a normal breath in the market. We still have a red trend line technically in place, which is this ribbon down here. You also have a situation here where you have a uptrend still in place on the weekly chart. However, if this price moves much further down and goes below this pyramid here, you will get stopped out of your long uptrend. We do have bearish divergence building. We have green here, getting closer to going red, but no red yet. So I probably at this point, if you were to short this at all, if you were to take this short position, this would have been a kind of a risky trade because you're going against such a strong bullish move. Now notice the art system got you in on this move, which is the bottom here, way back here. All right, that was back in 2019, and you could have just powered on up and your stop would have been right here. So I guess what I'm saying on this for right now, I think it's a little questionable whether you should enter a new long position here right now with the daily chart going against you. The other problem here is part of the art system indicates when you've had 4 pyramids in a row, you stand a stronger chance for trend exhaustion to occur at any time. And in this one, you even have more than 4. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's definitely a wave 3 in progress still. So after wave 3, you get wave 4, right? So that's a big correction. So you got to be careful here, very careful. I think probably if you were in this with a long-term portfolio, you kind of want to have your stop here if that breaks, because then it's going to be a doozy. All right. Otherwise, I'd stay with the long trade for now. I would not short this really right now because of the strong weekly chart still. So as far as a new trade, I wouldn't take any new trades on this. Okay. It's too extended to the long side and not much shorting opportunity to the short side. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's see what we got here. White line, ETSY, ETSY. ETSY, and Stuart wants to take a look at Nike next. Absolutely. All right, so let's see what we got cooking on this bad boy. All right, right away, we notice we're, coming down. All right, pretty obvious, okay? Boom, boom, boom. Nice short trade, by the way, but the short trade's been stopped out. All right, so you're no longer short on the daily chart. However, you really haven't indicated a full rebound yet. All right, so what's the weekly chart showing? All right, green PTF, red owl. And the owl is pretty far. See, here's the zero line. This line here is the zero line. So the further away the owl is, whether it's bullish or bearish, in this case it's bearish, the more risky a long trade is, because it really hasn't shown any signs of a possible rebound yet. Okay, now this is a little bit more promising in that this could be a significant bottom here, and we'll see if we take it out and get a pyramid or something here. You've got green here, and it looks like a sliver of a green PTF on the short-term time frame. All right, so again, if you think this is a bottom, and it could be, but it's not definitive yet. But if you think it is, and you don't want to wait a little while to go in other words, getting above here, then what I would do is go in with half a position, half a normal trade size. And the reason I do that is because you have such a strong owl here. So what I'm afraid of is maybe we'll just meander, go down one more time and then up. But also, if you go here, there's your price pattern for a possible pyramid to the upside. So I'd probably wait a little while on this and see if it breaks that daily recent high up around, what is it, 160 and some change. Okay, so I wouldn't jump into it yet. And then when I jump into it, I'd take a look at the owl, significance of the owl on the weekly chart to determine whether I want to take a half a trade size or not. All right, Nike. Okay, Nike. Let's take a look at NKE. All right, again, tremendous move to the downside as evidenced here on the daily chart and even the 60-minute chart. Things are bouncing off the bottom here as well. Again, same as the one we just looked at. Notice how deep this still is. Very close to going red down here, but no cigar. This is no longer red. It's yellow. Yellow's neutral, by the way. You can go long or short on a yellow PTF, which is that indicator in the center. And we definitely have some bullishness here, and we just had the PTF, I don't know if you can see that at home, change to green, all right, on the 60. So I don't want to be short here on the 60-minute chart. And I probably at this point would scale out of a little bit of a short position if I had it here, because my pyramid's way up here. So I'm getting, this pyramid was breached here, so I'd probably take half of my position off if I was short here, and then leave the other half here, because it's still bearish. So I wouldn't go long yet on this. Okay, it's not quite ready, but I definitely would watch it. And that one is for Stuart. All right, we'll do one more here. COST, cost. Go. All right, so what do we got cooking on this bad boy? All right, so we've got a bullish move still in progress on the weekly chart. So pyramid entry here, stop is here. We've got big owl here, and let's see, we got red here. Interesting. So either this is going to turn abruptly green, or we're going to see some selling soon. This is bullish, so it's all pretty bullish here. My only thing is at this time here, all right, notice you can see how huge this move is. So what we've got possibly cooking here is this is a 3. Is it in progress or is it over? Hard to say. This is a 3, this is a 4, probably a 5. So I would say 3 is not over on the weekly chart because you have to have 5 waves in the daily to complete a wave 3 on the weekly. Now, unfortunately with my rules, I cannot go long here, not with this being red. I have to wait for this to turn green. It has to be either green or yellow. So I have to pass on this time frame and this one for that matter. So either this has got to turn green and then I got to calculate where the top of wave 5 is or whatever. But definitely at this particular point, you know, long could certainly, this could make another high. The question is whether this little correction that it had is over yet. Because you technically, you know, from a standpoint, if this is a 3, you could go into an A, B, C, go down a little more, and then go into 5. That's possible. Have to wait that one off and see. All right, well, I think, boy, that was a lot of good ones. I think the winner today is GGB. What do you think? I think GGB is the best one today. Whose was that? Was that White Lion? Was that yours? I definitely like GGB today. I think that was the best one out of the lot. Okay, good. All right, well, listen, I want to thank everybody for being here. Hopefully you got a lot out of this. And the nice thing about this is maybe you've got one like GGB you can take a look at this week coming up. All right, so that's it for today. And the recording will be available. We're kind of going to try to get a little fancy with the recording and put in some links that will take you to specific stocks. That was Stuart's suggestion. And we'll see how that goes, okay? So other than that, we'll see you back here next week. And thanks so much for being here. And don't forget to like, share, or subscribe. Take care, everybody, and thanks so much.